Um, a few things that fashion entrepreneurs should keep in mind when determining valuations and negotiating terms. Terminology. Terminology is very important. While you are exploring these options, you will certainly need to engage lawyers, at least one, but you'll also potentially be talking to whether it's venture capitalists or investment advisors, investment bankers, people in the private investment industry, and you want to make sure you know what they're talking about. That doesn't mean that you have to be the full on expert in the private capital space. You're the expert on your company, which is number one priority. But you should understand the words that they are using. You should be able to ask questions that are related to moving your investments forward. And when they ask you questions, there shouldn't be crickets chirping because you don't understand the terms. So, one of the things I would highly suggest is reading the book Venture Deals because it really gives a wonderful helpful understanding on the terminology that is used in the private capital space. Yes, venture capital, but also in the private equity space, which is a majority stake takeover, and also just in the like I said, in the private investment space in general. You really want to know what a term sheet is. You want to know what a cap table is. I'll tell you, a cap table is an overall outlook of the equity ownership of your company. So your cap table will say this person owns that percent at this amount because that's what they invested. This person owns this amount at such and such percent because that's what they invested. And it's critical to determine your valuation. But you need to know those things. And there are a few other baseline terms that I think are really important to know. But reading Venture Deals and just having even just a baseline understanding of the terminology that is used in the private capital space is very important. You want to make sure it is something that you're clear on. And even so that you can talk to your professional consultants in the best way too. And maybe they can be very helpful in getting you to understand what the different terms are. Have a session with them, take them for coffee or dinner or something, and tell them, like, tell me everything you know so that I can make sure I understand all of these words and terms as I am looking to court investors for my business. And I'm sure they'd be happy to do that. There's a wealth of information out there. So there are a lot of ways that you can get up to speed to make sure that, you know, just as much as you need to know to be sure that your transaction and investments go smoothly. So, like I said, I can't stress that enough. I would also say to be very well studied on the current landscape of your specific product's market. Knowing the ins and outs of the industry and the current market landscape is really important because you will be asked about how your business plays in the big picture of the economy. And so you'll want to know what's going on in the fashion industry within your sector at all times. And so whether that's reading news a lot, industry news, and economic news in general, focused on retail, focused on textiles and other ancillary industries that are dependent, that your industry is dependent on, is really important. And just as much as you want to stay up to date on the local news, is what's happening outside your window, you want to stay up to date on the day to day of your industry as well. So I would definitely say that that is really important. And in doing both of those things, with knowing the terminology of the investment space and staying up on market trends, they should help you have a long-term vision for your company. That is very important because investors will want to know, if I'm helping you today, where do you see us being in 5 years, in 10 years? And I mean, of course, no one can make any promises, but to know that you're thinking about it and you are consistently keeping that plan up to date based on the landscape of the economy and otherwise will be really important too. So you definitely want to have a long-term editable strategy.